So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we welcome you back here at BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Wednesday, July 22nd. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. I know I did. We got a lot of sports to get to today. Breaking news. So I do my podcast obviously in the morning. You all know that. I do it in the morning. I get up, do some things, and then I get over to the studio and do the podcast. So, but I do them in the morning, obviously. So just before, I was just about to go on the podcast here. I was just about to, and I realized that my breaking news came up on my device or my phone, and it said Blue Jays are playing at PNC Park. So I was gonna talk about Marcus Stroman, because there's been some talk around just New York sports in general around if he's gonna have a good year with the Mets. Last year had a good year. The Blue Jays, you could tell he had struggled a tad bit with the Mets. A little bit. The numbers weren't crazy off, but a little bit with the Mets. So I was going to talk about that. But today we got no preseason. Jets and the Giants. Blue Jays are playing at PNC Park, the home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So the deal is they asked for permission to play in Toronto. The president or whatever it's called in Toronto, Canada or whatever, Tarabu, I think his name is, said no, or whoever it was said no, shot it down. Blue Jays were going to play at their Buffalo facility. They said that they want to play at an MLB facility, so PNC Park, I guess, was what the deal was. I would imagine them playing at like a Citi Field or a Yankee Stadium because that's closer to Toronto than going to Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a very nice stadium, Pittsburgh. PNC Park is a very nice stadium. So they're going to be playing there. Then with the Jets and Giants, delay the rookies. There's been some testing confusion. The NFL is definitely right now look like the MLB a little bit. There's confusion around the testing, confusion around the health protocols. There's just a lot of confusion in the NFL. I'll get to that later on in the podcast. So that is what we got for the podcast today. Let's get right into it. This is the BSN podcast. So the NFL will be playing. The NFLPA tells players there will be no preseason training camp. No preseason training camp. So no preseason means there's no preseason training camp. It just adds on to that. Rosters reduced to 80 players. Just think about that. For a second. So I personally like this a lot. I personally like that they did not do the preseason. I said this yesterday on my podcast when I was ranking my QB projections. I had Dwayne Haskins 5th, Gardner Minshew 4th, Daniel Jones 3rd, Kyler Murray 2nd, Drew Lock 1st. If you want to go watch that podcast, you can watch that podcast. It's yesterday's the July 21st podcast. If you want to go watch that, to watch what I was talking about with the QB projections. I talked about this yesterday. It wasn't confirmed then. It got confirmed yesterday. Later on, after I uploaded my podcast and everything, so it was pretty much confirmed. It was just finalizing, I guess the protocol. It was just finalizing some things here and there, because there's a lot more than just saying, oh, no preseason. There's a lot more than that. There's, you got to do this, reduce the rosters, how many players this, what are you gonna do, blah blah blah. There's a lot more than just saying, oh, no training, no preseason, now just send it out, right? Because they reduced the roster to 80 players, because obviously that matched up with, the cutting and the ability to cut in those amount of days, because they do cuts. I'm pretty sure, because when I went to the Jets training camp last year, which will be no fans in attendance for that either, when I went to the Jets training camp last year, I'm pretty sure what they do is they cut the first two. After the first, I think they do the first 2 weeks they don't cut, and then after that they start the cuts, and they'll cut a ton of players. They'll cut a ton. They'll cut out a ton of players by one preseason day. I mean, it's 90 usually. It's usually 95 players to about 53. So they cut 42 players. Yeah, they cut a ton of players from that roster. Obviously, that's why it's big to make the team. But the NFLPA, there is no preseason, so this could go two ways. It really is. This could go two ways. This could go a good way, or this could go a bad way. It could go very two ways. In my opinion, it's gonna be. I don't really know what I should say because usually the players, like, you wouldn't see Patrick Mahomes playing a whole preseason game. You don't see that. You usually see the rookies, the guys trying to make a spot on the team, the walk-ons, the draft picks. They always play because they want to see what they're all about, right? You're not just going to be like, oh, don't play preseason, just throw them in there week 1 and be like, oh, I expect you to do this, this, and this. Or you're not going to do that. So in my opinion, this could go one or two ways. It's either going to go good because it's going to be less injuries, because I know there's a lot of players that get injured during the preseason. I remember, I think actually it was last year, Jermaine Kearse, the Lions, one of the better Lions receiver. He was going to be set to be their number 2 or 3rd receiver, their slot guy in a way. He was set to be that, and guess what? He broke his leg in the preseason. That's an injury that you are not going to have now in the preseason. Sure, it might happen in the regular season, but I'm sure as a coach you would rather happen in the regular season than the preseason, because at least the regular season counts and matters, to obviously make the Super Bowl. You go 0 for 4 in the preseason, that doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, the Browns all these years always do good in the preseason, and then they'll win 3 games in the regular season. Preseason means absolutely nothing. So this could go one or two ways. Here's the one way. Here, I'll give you the positive first and the negative. Here's the positive. There could be less injuries. All the players are very healthy going into week 1. You have your full roster, no injuries. Okay? That is the positive. I always give the positive first, not the negative. Okay? Positive first, then the negative. Okay? So that's the positive. Less players will get injured. That equals more chance of making the playoffs for some of these teams because they're losing key players. Some of these teams are losing big name players. Jermaine Kearse, one of the better, in his prime when he was really good with the Seahawks, you can make the argument he was one of the better receivers in that time. Now, when he was in his prime too, that was when Antonio Brown was in his prime, and they were kind of battling in a way. There was a lot of players that were in their prime then. That was when they were making those Super Bowl runs against the Patriots, the Malcolm Butler thing, with the Russell Wilson throwing that interception late. Still don't agree with that call. The play call, not the ref's call. The play call, I don't know. There was no pass interference there. I mean the play call by whoever decided to do that, to make that decision. Don't agree with it. And then obviously the Super Bowl where they absolutely absolutely slaughtered the Denver Broncos. Jermaine Kearse was a big factor of that. Jermaine Kearse was a big factor of those games. He was a big factor of those games, big factor of those seasons. He ended up breaking his leg with the Lions. So that will not happen. If that happens in the regular season, it happens in the regular season. As a coach, I would rather something happen in the regular. Now, I wouldn't want to see anything happen. But if you would want to see it, would be in the regular season. Because if it happens in the preseason, you don't even know what their potential was in the regular season. Like Jermaine Kearse, you don't know what he could have done with the Lions last year. We will never know because he only played a couple preseason games. I think it was actually the first or second preseason game. Broke his leg. So that is the positive. Here is the negative from having no preseason. Week 1 will be the first time these guys take the field for live game action. Maybe some scrimmages here and there like the MLB does, Expedition. Maybe some scrimmages here and there. Nothing crazy. But week 1 will be the first time all these players take the field for a real game. Just think about that for 5 seconds here. So, week 1, that's going to be the first time these players take the field. That's going to be the first time. And I know you might be saying, well, they're going to play scrimmages against each other. Yeah, but I mean, in actual real game action on live television, that will be the first time these guys take the field against another team. Maybe they scrimmage against another team because I know they do it, but I don't think that's going to actually be allowed this year because obviously the virus. Usually some years you'll see whenever they travel over to the preseason, the day before they'll play scrimmage against that team. Then they'll play their preseason game the next day. But to be honest, I'm going to tell you straight up, I think week 1 could get very ugly. I think week 1 could very well be the ugliest week out of the whole season. Out of the whole 17 weeks, 16 games, out of all the 16 games plus the playoffs, whoever makes the playoffs, okay, plus the playoffs, plus the Super Bowl, week 1 I think will be the ugliest week. Week 2 you'll have a bounce back because at least you guys saw some game action. Here's my reasoning. Now I just said, the starters usually don't play. Pat Mahomes will play 1 snap, some of these guys. But the rookies, they're not going to really be able to connect with their quarterback. Sam Darnold to Denzel Mims. Like, what about, that connection? Like Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb. Like that connection. Yeah, I know they practice. I get it, people. They've been practicing in the offseason. I get it. Together they've been practicing in the offseason. I get it. But there's a completely different from practicing one-on-one than practicing in a live game, on live television, in a regular season game. There's a difference. There's a very big difference. There's a difference when there's a defense. It's not just you running routes and you throwing it to a wide open receiver. There's a difference when there's a defense. Right? So week 1 could very well be the ugliest week, in my opinion. It could very well be the ugliest week. You might see a good quarterback maybe go 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, because maybe he has a new receiver. Deshaun Watson, for example, against the Chiefs, they're starting the season right up for that Thursday night game. What if he struggles because he doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins anymore? He obviously with the Cardinals and now Kyler Murray, right? Maybe he has a tough time really trying to connect with, Will Fuller. I mean, he's connected with Will Fuller a lot, but, now Will Fuller's probably the team's number 1. What if he if they're not on the same page? Same thing with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. I know I talk so highly about Kyler Murray, but what if they're just not on the same page? Drew Lock and Jerry Jeudy. Drew Lock, this is going to probably be his first full season starting, if no injuries. Jerry Jeudy, first season in the league. KJ Hamler even. Their second round pick, right? I mean, people, week 1 could be ugly. Because you're going to see Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Denzel Mims play in the preseason. You'll see them. Rookies play preseason. I mean, you'll see this guy. You'll see that. You'll see them. You'll see them do that. You'll see it. You'll without a doubt, you will see. Week 1, I think, will be ugly. And if it's not, and if week 1's the best week, you got quarterbacks throwing 8 touchdowns. You got defenses putting up, this actually is kind of against it, but, you got defenses putting up 5 sacks, 7 sacks. Even defenses could be a little rusty. What about the new defenders in the league learning under a new scheme, a new playbook, new plays? Right? What about that? What about that? So I'm telling you this. I know that I personally, Expedition, preseason, whatever that is, it doesn't matter. It means absolutely nothing. To some players, it really does. To some players, it is a real chance to go out there and show they should be on the 53-man roster. Same thing in the MLB. There's a lot of players on the Yankees right now that were, during these 3 Expedition games, had to show themselves and show that they could compete. Especially this guy named Eric Kratz. He's been bouncing around. He finally gets a chance in the Yankees that maybe he feels confident in. He's been bouncing around the MLB. He finally gets a chance on the Yankees, who could very well be the third. He could very well be the third first baseman, which means he would not be on the starting lineup, but he would be the third first baseman. So that means if Ford's having an off day, or meaning like if he's off that day, not meaning like actually off, not meaning like he's actually off that day, meaning like, he's not playing. Not like an off day swinging wise or hitting wise. And then Kratz would be the next guy up to be playing first base if, let's just say, hopefully this never happens, Voit gets injured or something, right? So he tried to go out there and show the chances. There's a lot of players out there that for the preseason, they're young, they're new draft picks. They go out there, they try to prove themselves. They do. That's what just happens. That is just what happens. So, in a way, I like this, but in a way, I really believe it could. And I'm gonna go by a little bit near the negative side a little bit here. And I can see both sides of positive. I can see positives where players are well rested up, where players are really, pumped about getting back, they're fired up. And I could also see the negative side as well, where players are, struggle week 1 because week 1's technically going to be the first game. Technically, for all these guys, it's going to be the first game action. Most players touch the field at least 1 possession in preseason. And I know it might sound a lot. I know I might be sounding, crazy. Like, 1 possession. What is that going to do? Well, at least that 1 possession, at least you can just, get back into the game groove a little bit. What if that 1 possession is 10 plays by the offense and you're on defense? You get 10 plays right there. Just learning the defense, getting plays in, right? Week 1 is almost going to be a test run. especially for a lot of these new players in the league. Joe Burrow, he's not going to have time to connect with his new receivers until week 1. Tua, not going to have time to connect with his new receivers until week 1. And I know, you might think, oh, well, training camp. I know, but in a real game, they're not going to be able to connect with them until week 1. So, that's not on me. That's on them. They're going to have to figure that one out. I think it's going to be interesting. I think week 1 could very well be the worst turnover week out of all of them. You could either see, I think week 1 will be nailed by the defense. I think the offenses will be a little rusty. Defenses, I think, will be a little rusty as well. But I think, somebody with all these new quarterbacks, all these new offensive players, all these guys, all these new offensive linemen, Andrew Tomic, Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, Mekhi Becton, all these new players, all these new offensive linemen, I don't know. It could very well get interesting here. And I think week 1 will be a week that is going to be, I think, a little messy. A little messy in a way. A little messy. I think you're going to see a lot of turnovers. I think you might see on defense, you might see a couple of just plays where the defense was just not right. Like you're going to see highlight reels from both sides. And I'll tell you what, you're going to see ugly highlight reels. You're going to see like a quarterback maybe throwing a ball completely over the receiver's head because they ran the wrong route and they weren't on the same page. And then the defense or the safety, whoever's over there, will get the interception and take it back. Or on offense, you're going to see a highlight reel where there's nobody covering one receiver because they mixed up on plays. Right? Week one could be very, very, very interesting, people. But I do see a lot of positive here. This does, I really think, help the players out. Maybe if they just get tested, and they just know they don't have it. They could just, feel more comfortable. I think just throwing them out there, because preseason usually starts in August, and it is almost August. I mean, what is this? A couple weeks away from August? What is this? July 22nd? So, what, about 2 weeks away from August? So, it is definitely very interesting to be, it's definitely very interesting to see what happens, because they're reporting to everybody's at training camp by July 28th. So to have preseason start in August, to be honest, people, the NFL has about 1 month. 1 month. The players, coaches, GMs, all that have 1 month to get on the same page and get ready for week 1. Because week 1's September 13th. Well, you have September 9th is obviously, week 1 technically starting. But the whole NFL starts September 13th. We're just going to go by the September 13th start date, because that's when, the first full Sunday is. That's a month. That's about 2 months from now. About 2 months. So we'll give it about a month and a little bit more. About a month and a half from now is week 1. When they report, and it's already August, they got about a month and 13 days to get prepared for the NFL season. To get prepared. To be ready. To have the plays ready. To have the play calls ready. They've got to be ready by week 1. Because week 1, I very well think, could be ugly. Because they only have about a month. Usually these guys are starting training camp out in June. And the season starts in September. You have about a month now to make plays, to get on the same page, to scrimmage a little bit. Whenever that comes, whenever you feel comfortable to scrimmage, you're not just going to throw them out there and be like, hey, scrimmage. These guys have also not seen, or really, they've maybe seen them over Zoom calls, which a lot of people seems like that way. You Zoom people now. These guys have not seen each other in person in a long time. And they're going to have to get on the same page. Could get interesting. I know I've said this multiple times. Week 1, watch out. It could be ugly. It could get a little messy. Because there's no preseason. There's no time to really warm up. Preseason is not a thing this season. Week 1 could technically is going to be the first real week of football. It's going to be like the first week of just seeing football. That's why I think 2 preseason games would have even been just okay. 2 preseason games. Because at least you could have got something in. I'm not a big fan of preseason. I know the players aren't a big fan of preseason. To be honest, I've always been with this. There's been always talk all these years of moving the season to 20 weeks. and each completely eliminating the preseason. I've always been on that side. I've always been a big believer that would just make the NFL season 100 times better. Because, if you start off 0-3, the season's kind of done. You start off 0-3 and you're kind of just... You start off 0-3 and you're like, oh, well, waited all this time, the season's kind of done. Like, it's so hard to come back from 0-3. That's the problem with the NFL season. It's so short. 1 minute's week 1, you're like, hey, week 1. Next minute, it's like week 14, you're like, oh my gosh. And your team's like 3-13, or your team's like 2-12 going into like week 15. You're like, oh wow, we're done. We're locked. And that's how quick the NFL season goes, people. But the NFLPA tells players, this is an article. I'm not going to read probably all of it because we are already on 20 minutes, and this is a pretty long article. So I'm going to just try to find a little paragraph. So here's a paragraph. Along with that change, the Player Association noted that the roster size of a training camp are expected to be set as 80 players for our camp, which is 10 down from the tradition 90-man roster you typically see under the normal circumstances. The union is also pushing for a longer ramp-up period in camp. Rosillo is general agreements and voluntary and high-risk opt-outs along with the agreement on stipends. Like I said, you're going to have players that are going to be a little worried. You're going to have players that are going to be worried. They did note in this article that they're trying to get a longer ramp-up period, which seems, I guess, a longer period to get ready for the season. They're going to try to do that. So the last 24 to 48 hours have been a great deal of movement in the negotiation between the NFL and the NFLPA, along with the NFL proposing 0 preseason games. The two sides came to an agreement on Monday to conduct daily testing for the first 2 weeks of training camp. You know what I think they should do? This is just my opinion. Okay. Everybody has their opinion, right? This is just my opinion. You know what I feel like they should do? They should test everybody for the antibodies first. Like, test everybody for the antibodies. And then what you do is those who have the antibodies, you don't test them for the virus because they already have the antibodies, so they already have it. Because I know there's got to be some NFL players that already have the antibodies. I mean, anybody could technically have the virus. That's what asymptomatic is all about. That's what's so bad about it, is you could have the virus and you don't even know it, and here you are going out and spreading it to other people. That's the problem with it. Here's the one thing with the antibodies. If they were to do this, if they were to give... Now, I'm not a health expert on this, so I might sound stupid saying this. This is why I do sports podcasts and I don't do virus podcasts. I do sports ones. I don't know too much about all this. I'm not smart like that. I'm sports related. I'm not into all that other stuff. So I just have a quick thing. If you test for the antibodies, you find maybe because they already did tests for the players. There's like 50 players that have the virus, which means 50 of them hopefully will recover and hopefully will get, not hopefully. I mean, you can't hopefully get the antibodies. You will get the antibodies if you recover from it. So hopefully they recover, and when they do recover, or, if they recover, they will get the antibodies. So they are okay. That same thing. If you get the antibodies, technically, that's why they want a vaccine, because it gives you the antibodies so, you could fight it off. It's not going to technically cure it, because the flu, that has no cure. That is absolutely no cure. There's a shot so that you can prevent it from getting it, but that has no cure. Or a vaccine, whatever you want to call it. What if you gave them this? What if you tested the players for a antibody? What if you tested the players for the antibodies? Tested them for antibodies. Okay. Tested them for antibodies. You find these players have antibodies. So they can go into training camp. They don't have to really be tested for the virus because they already have the antibodies. Then you test the players who don't have the antibodies. You test them for the virus. If somebody has the virus, then you gotta, obviously, skedoodle and quarantine. So that's just something I was gonna think of. I don't know. I don't really want to get into it because I don't really know much about this, and I probably sound completely stupid by saying that. Because you don't test somebody just just go with what you're doing in the NFL, because obviously it's a plan that you feel it's daily test. They should do daily testing. That's what the NBA bubble is doing, daily testing. They should be doing daily testing every day. They should do daily testing every day. You should walk in, get your temperature taken. That's with me with baseball. I get my temperature taken. To be honest, they should test you. Because just because you don't have a temperature doesn't mean you don't have the virus. Am I right? Not everybody gets a temperature. Not everybody gets a temperature. Most people they find do have a temperature if they have a virus. So if somebody has a virus, so if somebody does have a temperature, more than likely it is because of the virus. If you don't have a temperature, more than likely you don't have it because the temperature is a big thing. If you're going to have any symptom, I think the main symptom is a temperature. That I think is the same thing with like the flu as well. But in regards to the NFL, they should do daily testing every day. I mean, the test I think it takes like 15 minutes for it to come back, which it's a lot of players. That's 80 players a test, 80 times. I mean, you could have multiple test stations up. I mean, you're not just going to have one test station up for all these players to come to. You could have like 20 set up and have these players go here. Maybe what you do is because what they're actually going to do too is the NFL is going to separate the locker rooms and stuff, make some players have to go outside, make some players go inside. What I just thought of is maybe what you have to do is maybe you go ahead and say this. You go ahead and be like, here, test, and then you can just go back maybe where you were, and then and then they call you or something and say if you test negative or positive. So then you're not there and you have to infect everybody else. Something like that. I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I just feel like testing sometimes, because the tests I don't think are all that right? I don't think every single time they're right. I know I think there's 70% chance correct and like 30% chance wrong. That is not the greatest. I mean, it's over 50, but 70 is okay. I guess 70% is okay. I don't know. That's what I've heard. That's why I'm sticking to sports, people. But yeah, I just feel like sometimes the testing, like obviously them just testing twice a week, even the MLB. The MLB isn't doing great. They have 6 new positive cases, and that's like still below 1%. They've been doing unreal, the MLB. But that's the thing. Like, that's the thing, though. Like, the MLB or the NFL, like, they're such a contact sport. Just testing them for the virus, I don't know how much that will work. I don't know. But that's what I got, obviously, for the no preseason. Like I said, it's just testing. In a way, I feel like you can only test so much. Like in a way, I feel like you could test. I just don't know. So let's get the next segment up here. Oh my gosh, I cannot type today. Wow. I'm trying to get up on my next article, but I cannot type. So let's see. So what's up next? Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays playing at PNC Park. That's coming up next. Perfect. So there is one MLB team that really won't have real home field advantage this year. That is the Toronto Blue Jays. Because I would imagine they're not going to change the thing behind the plate or the logo behind the plate. They're not going to change that. I know that for a fact. They're not going to go back and forth pitch the Pirates. So it's going to be odd. You're going to have a big P in the outfield, because that's usually what it is. You have the mowers have that big P. You're going to have that in the outfield. You're going to have that in the outfield. You're going to have the Pirates logo behind the plate. And then you're just going to have the regular, I'll tell you what. PNC Park, look at the pictures. It is an unbelievable park. It's the nicest. Is one of the nicest stadiums in the MLB. It really is. I have a picture right here up on my phone. It's unreal. You got the city. You have the Roberto Clemente Bridge. So what you do is I'm pretty sure you come in. So you the players can see like the city. So that's downtown Pittsburgh. I'm pretty sure, right? Or is that right? Pittsburgh Pirates, yeah. That's downtown Pittsburgh, yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, downtown Pittsburgh. So that is downtown Pittsburgh. So you got all the buildings right there, and you have all the buildings over there. You know what this ballpark reminds me of? A little bit of Citizens Bank. Because in the distance, you can see the skyline of... the PNC Park is literally in the city. Like, all you have to do is just walk over the Roberto Clemente Bridge, and you're in Pittsburgh, downtown Pittsburgh. And you walk... I've never been to PNC Park, personally. I've always wanted to go. It's a very nice ballpark. Very nice. A lot of people rank it as number one. I always have liked Camden Yards and Fenway Park. I've been there both times. I've always liked those ballparks as well. But PNC Park even seems like an even nicer at times. But anyway, my favorite ballpark personally is Fenway, because I've been there. But if I go to PNC Park, maybe I have different feelings about it. I've never been there, so I really can't have a judgment on it. But you walk over the Roberto Clemente Bridge, and you're at the ballpark. And if you want to go into the city, you walk over. Like, that's what a lot of people, I think, do. They live in the city, I'm pretty sure, and then they walk over to Roberto Clemente Bridge, and they go over into the city area. But this ballpark reminds me of Citizens Bank Park. Citizens Bank Park, you could see like the Philadelphia in the background. Obviously, Citizens Bank Park is literally in the middle of a parking lot. It's the Eagle Stadium, it's the Flyers and the 76ers, the Wells Fargo Center, and then you got the Citizens Bank Park. They're all in the same parking lot. They're all there. It's right across the street, too, I'm pretty sure, from the Philadelphia airport or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure it's right across the street from there as well. The Eagles Stadium, and then you got all the other stadiums. But yeah, so the Blue Jays expected to play most home games at Pirates PNC Park. So most is a interesting word to use, most. So if that means that if they're saying that they play most of their games there, so where are the other games being played? Because it says most home games, not most games, because everybody's playing some games home. Not all games are home. Most home games. So where else are they going to play their home games? Are they going to play in Buffalo? Are they going to play, maybe, if they're on the road, maybe, are they going to count that as a home game there? The Blue Jays are in a very complicated situation. That's why it's tough to, have, I guess, a sports team in Canada. Right? That's why I guess it's hard to have a sports team in Canada over there. But obviously they're in Toronto and everything. So the Blue Jays expected to play most home games at Pirates PNC Park. This is going to be interesting because the players said they wanted to play at the pro stadium. So they were originally gonna play at the Buffalo area, near up in Buffalo. I think near their Toronto. It's their minor league facility. They're gonna play up there. But the players, I guess, didn't really want to. So I have a question. Have the players, I'm assuming, have been playing at Rogers Center. I'm assuming, right? I would assume. And now they're gonna play games. So where have they been playing their exhibition games? I'm so confused. This whole virus thing is really making sports confusing. But, so what looks like they're going to do is they were going to play at their minor league facility. But I guess the players wanted to play at a regular facility. The players must have wanted to play at a regular facility. That's not a must. They did. They wanted to play at a regular old facility. They did not want to play at a minor league facility. So what they ended up doing is they went ahead and said, okay, well, let's search for a stadium. To be honest, when I heard about that, at first I thought they were going to go to like a Yankee Stadium or Citi Field because that's close to Toronto. That's also still in New York where you would have been playing at your minor league facility. I thought they would have been playing there. That is obviously not the case. They decided to go over to Pittsburgh. I don't know what prompted that decision. I'm going to read an article. I'm going to read a statement from the Blue Jays in just a couple of minutes. I don't know what prompted that decision. I know as much as you guys know. But to be honest, I don't know, there really is no home field advantage in baseball this season. There really isn't no home field advantage. It's almost like it's like a World Series last year. I feel like you're going to see a lot more away teams win a lot more big games because there is no such thing as home field advantage. Oh, well, at home, you get this sound from, you get, you get the artificial crowd noise when you hit a home run at home. Oh, that really affects the players. No. Home field advantage is not a thing without fans. So, in any sport, home field advantage is not a thing without fans. I'm sorry, it isn't. It just isn't. Maybe the playing at your home stadium might, just fuel you a little bit more. But other than that, I don't think home field advantage is much of a thing. So them playing at PNC Park is more of a there is really no home field advantage, so they're not playing at their home stadium. So kind of just roll with it. I guess anything to really, and they're playing at a very nice ballpark. It's not like they decided to play at a really bad ballpark and just go with it. They're playing at a very nice ballpark. They're playing at one of the nicest ballparks, if not the nicest ballpark in all the MLB, in the PNC Park. I would assume they're already there, so I would assume they already know it. They still gotta know a little bit about the stadium. I mean, it's a baseball stadium. They're there to play baseball. They're not there to tour the stadium and see what's all out. They're there to play baseball. It will be definitely very interesting because you might have some Blue Jays Pirates games. I don't know if you do have them. I'm sure they will be up there because they're both East Coast and stuff. You probably will have some Blue Jays Pirates games. And the Blue Jays might be home one of those games, and they'll be playing at the Pirates' home. So that is definitely going to be very interesting, to say the very least. To be honest, it is nice, I guess, the Pirates allowed this, or I don't know who allowed this. I'm assuming the Pirates did. It was nice of them, I guess. Obviously, trying to get, when they have just 3 days, I guess, until opening day, or just a couple days until opening day, and they still got to figure out where they're going to play. This really did come down to, I'm sure, a stressful decision for the Blue Jays. I'm sure they were, this was kind of a stressful decision. I'm assuming they were probably all the way down there, and then now it officially came out. But to be honest, I think the Blue Jays are probably happy, and I think the Blue Jays, to be honest, are probably. I would assume the Blue Jays are happy. I would assume the Blue Jays are pretty happy to be playing at one of the nicest ballparks there. I'm sure they would rather be playing at their home ballpark. That was the whole thing of this whole situation, was they wanted to play at an MLB ballpark. They did not want to play at a minor league ballpark. I guess just a different feel, smaller. Really just felt like playing at an MLB ballpark would have been better. So they are playing. They're playing with the Pirates. They're playing at the Pirates, PNC Park. So PNC Park will reportedly be home to more than just the Pittsburgh Pirates during the 2020 season, according to ESPN and Hazel May of Sportsnet CA Canada. The Toronto Blue Jays will play the majority of their home games at PNC Park after Canada's federal government ruled it was too risky for them to play at Rogers Centre. ESPN added an official announcement won't be made until it's approved by the Pennsylvania state government. This comes after the Blue Jays announced July 18th that they would not be playing in Toronto. So this is their statement on July 18th that they would not be playing in Toronto. So let me pull this up. So let's see here. The Toronto Blue Jays extend the sincerest thanks to Mayor Tory, the City of Toronto, and Toronto Public Health Premier for the province of Ontario. This is so small. Okay. For the province of Ontario, the Chief Medical Officer of Health, and Deputy Prime Minister Freeland, and the Government of Canada, and the Public Health Agency of Canada, and the detailed consideration and partnership throughout this process. So that's all who they thank. From the onset of the discussions with the league and government officials, the safety and the broader company, our fans, and the team remain the priority of everyone involved. And with that, the club completely respects the federal government's decision, said Mark Shapiro, President and CEO of Toronto Blue Jays. Though our team will not be playing home games at Rogers Centre this summer, our players will take the field for the 2020 season with the same pride as the passionate representative of the entire nation. We cannot wait until the day comes that we play in front of our fans again on Canadian soil. The club is in the process of finalizing the best home location for the remainder of the 2020 season and will share an update as soon as it is available. So that was a statement from the Toronto Blue Jays. Rob Gillies of the Associated Press reported Canada's federal government made the decision after the city and provincial governments gave the Blue Jays clearance to play the season as scheduled. The United States has been in a hot spot amid the COVID-19 pandemic, and Canada decided that preventing back and forth crossings to the U.S. throughout the states, even a shortened one, was the best interest of public health. It did not take long for Pittsburgh to emerge as a potential landing spot, with Rob Longy, the Toronto Sun, calling PNC Park a clear frontrunner, and John Heyman of the MLB Network noting it looks increasingly likely to be the Jays' home park in 2020. Jason Mackey of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette also reported PNC Park was a possible temporary home for the and noted there are only 7 times throughout the season that the Pirates and Blue Jays are scheduled to play at home on the same day. 6 of those games come September 8th or later, which means Major League Baseball has additional time to reach a solution, which is very true. I just realized that. They might have home games on the same day. 6 times at September 8th, so they do have time to. And maybe by then, this virus is a little bit better, and maybe by then they can go back to Toronto. Maybe by then they can go back to Toronto. So according to ESPN, one potential solution to avoid overlap will have the Blue Jays move their September 7th and 9th home games against the New York Yankees to New York, where they will be able to stay since that they follow that up with the 3-game series against the New York Mets at Citi Field from September 11th to the 13th. Mackey reported the home of the Blue Jays AAA team in Buffalo, New York, and the team's spring training site in Duden, Florida, were also candidates, yet there were concerns about Buffalo's quality of light and their ability to handle a major league game. Yeah, see, I guess that's what it is. I guess the players also didn't want to play there as well. The Blue Jays start, it is a minor league stadium. Minor league is not going to be as good as a pro. It's just how it is. The Blue Jays start the season on the road against the Tampa Bay Rays and are scheduled to play their first home game Wednesday against the Washington Nationals. They're looking to bounce back this year after finishing in 4th place in the American League East in each of the last 3 seasons following an appearance in the 2016 American League Championship Series. So, the Toronto Blue Jays are now, the Pittsburgh Blue Jays for the time being. So, that should be interesting. That should definitely be interesting. Definitely be interesting. Interesting story to follow. I guess anything to keep the health and safety of the players at top priority, and that's what the Blue Jays kind of said in that statement that I read for you guys was, the top priority is the player's safety. It's nothing else. It's the player's safety. If you don't have players, coaches, GMs, all those safety, then you're not going to be able to get a season going. Like I said, I think in a way, playing in Pittsburgh seems like the right decision, but I think in a way, playing in, Buffalo also seemed like the right decision. Buffalo's closer for them. Now you don't run into those scheduling conflicts, but it is what it is. Obviously, that's also another safety part. Obviously, the lights weren't good enough. Obviously, all that wasn't good enough. The players said, too, they did not want to really play in a minor league stadium. Minor league stadium, it's a different feel. It's almost like saying the Yankees are going to go play at Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Rail Riders. It's a different feel. That stadium's in the middle of nowhere. It's a different feel than, usual. So you just have to really just, see all what happens here. So, oh my gosh, I can't even see this. So, up next, we got the Jets and Giants delay rookies. Interesting. So, the Giants await answers on coronavirus testing for rookies. So it looks like there was a delay in testing or whatever. This happens a lot, I feel like. Like what is this with the delayed testing? I feel like in a way the sports leagues know what they're doing, and in a way it's just like, what the heck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, I feel like there's just 2 sides of every story, right? I feel like in a way, when a player gets positive case, I feel like in a way it's because they just haven't been testing play. Like, I don't know, man. Jets, Giants await answers on coronavirus testing for rookies. Like, it's interesting. It's very interesting. It is very interesting because, to be honest, the Jets and the Giants, like, they were cruising right into this too. Like, I thought, the Jets were good and everything, and the rookies. So what is this? What, like, And I'll tell you what, man. It's just trying to mute that. Okay. So let's just read this quick article here. Jets were scheduled to report for training camp on Tuesday and get their first COVID-19 test, but the team delayed their report date. The Jets are seeking more clarity on the testing policy that was agreed to by the NFL and its players on Monday before they began to administer the test. The rookies are in New Jersey and waiting to begin their NFL careers. So they're in New Jersey. They're waiting to begin their NFL careers is what I'm hearing. I guess they're just waiting to get tested because the policy, I guess they're waiting to get tested because of the testing policy. They're trying to get more clarity on it. I guess they didn't make it as clear as they would hope. Very interesting here. To be honest, I think the Jets, I think with these teams in a way should just go with it, get the test and just go with it. Because I feel like the longer you wait, the more it's just the tougher it's gonna be. Because now the rookies are in, right? The rookies are reporting. Right? They're supposed to be in before everybody else. But now all of a sudden you delay them so they're not in. So now are you gonna have all these other players come in? Like in a way I feel like delaying it sometimes affects the whole turnout of the whole plan. I feel like sometimes delaying it because now their whole plan was obviously to have players, report at different times. Now, all of a sudden, the Giants will have players report at the same time. It's interesting. Players must test negative twice before they are permitted in the team's training center. Testing could begin as early as Wednesday if the Jets feel like they have a full understanding of the testing protocols agreed to Monday afternoon. Quarterbacks are injured players are scheduled to report Thursday, with the full team reporting next Tuesday. The NFL and players are still negotiating how training camp will be structured, but it's likely there will be an acclimation period of a few weeks before players are on the field and in pads. The situation is similar, if slightly more complicated. The Giants, rookies, quarterbacks, and injured veterans are scheduled to report Thursday, but even that plan is on hold until there is more clarity regarding agreed-upon COVID-19 testing procedures. The rookies have been told to stay put at home and not travel to New Jersey, league sources told the Post. So they're not even in New Jersey, I guess, some of these Giants players. So the Jets players are. Jets rookies are, Giants aren't. So the Giants are way behind. Interesting. I don't know, man. It seems like the testing's just messing everything up. I feel like you just test them and go on with it. I feel like the testing is messing some of these teams up, messing some of these leagues up. Test them and just move on with it. If they test negative twice, they test negative twice. If they show any symptoms, that's the problem with people. You show symptoms and you really want to play football, in a way you just sometimes players are going to be like, "Oh, no, I don't have any symptoms." Some players are just going to be like that. The Giants have only signed one of their 10 draft picks, though agreements are in place to certain late-round picks pending a physical per sources. Those physicals scheduled to be spread over the course of the weekend cannot happen until camp opens. There's no deal in place yet with the first-round pick, Andrew Thomas, though the expectation is it will come together quickly and soon in line with the rookie wage scale. With the start of camp increasing in the sense of urgency, the Giants' previous 2 first-round picks, Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, both signed on the eve of camp. The Jets have 8 of their 9 draft picks signed. Only third-round pick Ashton Davis yet to sign his deal. So that is interesting. So that was very interesting. To be honest, with the Wade answers here, it looks like they need answers. It looks like they need clarity. It looks like they need, looks like they're confused in a way, and that's the tough part. Is when you're confused during this whole thing, that's the tough part. Is you don't want to be confused because you want to make sure that the players and health and safety of the players at the top of your priority. You're confused, that could affect things a big time. Hopefully just the NFL. I think the season's going to start on time. I've said this multiple times. I think the season's going to start and it's going to play. It's just a matter of what capacity, how is it going to change, is it going to be any different, contact, stuff like that. What is it going to be different about it? We know it's not going to be your typical NFL season. We already know that. It's not going to be your typical NFL season with fans, with all that. Not going to be your typical NFL season. Not going to be it. Definitely won't be. It's not going to be your typical NFL season. But the Jets and Giants await answers for coronavirus testing for rookies. So it looks like the Jets and Giants are reported yet. Chiefs, Texans, I think, are going to report. Although a lot of players are just confused, and that's the problem. I think a lot of players aren't really going to report yet because they're just confused. What's going to be very interesting, and not a lot of people are talking about this, is Jamal Adams going to report? Is Jamal Adams going to report? What's going to happen with that? Is he going to report? Let me see. I'm gonna Google search it. Jamal Adams. Let's just see what news comes up on him. Is he gonna report? It's probably gonna be more. Okay, reveals positive 59 players. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what the deal is with Jamal Adams. Because is he gonna report? That's my question. There's no news on him. Oh, here we go. Doesn't say anything. I mean, if he requests a trade, I can't imagine him just showing. So he posted something. I'm on Twitter. I don't have Twitter, but he posted something. He says, it's about to be a great week. Let's attack it. So what does that mean? Does that mean he's going to be... So what does that mean? Does that mean he's going to be playing? I'm a little confused here. So it looks like he said it's going to be a great week, which I guess that means, in a way, that he's going to be, I don't know. I mean, here's the whole deal, it is almost time for training camp. And when training camp starts, is he going to be there? That is my question. I don't know about that. I don't know if he's I can't imagine him requesting a trade and have all this offseason blunders and now all of a sudden showing up at training camp. I don't know. We'll have more on that. Tomorrow is opening day. Tomorrow is opening day for baseball. I will be doing a full-on baseball podcast, actually, I don't even know. Because if there's breaking news on football, I have stuff for playing for baseball. I got the Yankees projections for tomorrow's game. I'll talk a little Yankees. I'm going to give you my power rankings, and I'm going to give you my I'm going to give you my top 3 candidates for turnaround player of the year, or some of the candidates for turnaround player of the year, possibly. But definitely give you all my 30-team power rankings. I'll give you all that. I'll give you my game picks, all that good stuff. Tomorrow is opening day for baseball. Great to have it back. Tomorrow's opening day. Should be amazing. Tomorrow will be opening day. Should be amazing against the Nationals. So I'll have my Yankees gear on and all that good stuff. So anyway, that is what I got for the podcast today. I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Tomorrow is opening day. I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.